So, welcome back guys to another video, and before I tackle the subject of this video, I do have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, because if you guys been following me on Facebook or maybe Twitter in the past year, you guys probably know that I'm usually not the biggest fan of HD remasters, and don't get it twisted. I like HD remasters like 50% of the time, because let me explain. I wasn't a big fan of HD remasters made from the previous gen onto the current gen being sold at full retail. I wasn't a big fan of it, especially when the PS4 and Xbox One didn't have a whole lot of games, original games under the library. So I felt like, you know, when these consoles first came out, the first couple of years, I felt like people were getting kind of cheated, honestly. But I digress. I do see the potential of why HD remasters are so good, and that's the main reason why I'm tackling the subject of this video, because it does give, you know, players a chance to play a game they never got to play before, maybe due to the fact they had a 360 instead of a PS3 or vice versa. Or one of my favorite things is it gives a developer or companies the acknowledged IPs that's maybe dropped in the face of obscurity, and this could be a great way to bring series back, and also maybe make new reboots, maybe make new sequels and add on to it. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about some games that I want to see as an HD remaster in hopes that maybe this series comes back. The first game I want to talk about was on the PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast, and that is Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. I cannot tell you guys how much I loved Soul Reaver so much. I remember renting this game after playing the demo with some friends of mine, and I remember us going to each other's houses and playing this game, and it was so different at the time. I mean, the story follows Razel, who is a vampire who is betrayed by his clan, mainly Kain, the anti-hero of the first game, Blood Omen, and he's came back with revenge and taking down these vampires and just full of vengeance. I mean, I have to say, like, if you haven't played this game before, you can see a lot of the elements that were taken from this game into others, mainly games like Darksiders, a little bit of God of War's in it. There's a lot of puzzle aspects to it as well, and the animation was just so awesome. I love the gothic style it had, and it was such a great game. Now, I know Square Enix tried to bring Soul Reaver back with a failed reboot. It never saw the light of day other than just some video game footage from some websites, but that didn't really look like Soul Reaver to me. I'm kind of glad that never came out. But with that being said, it still shows that Square Enix could possibly bring this series back, and I would love to see a brand new Soul Reaver. And the next game I want to talk about is for the Sega Dreamcast and PSP, Power Stone. Oh my gosh, Power Stone. This was the party game before Smash Brothers. I mean, something was really special with Power Stone. It was so arcadey. It really showed the wonderful relationship of Sega and Capcom back in the late 90s. It was such an intense fighting game. You could use all the objects in the game, you could use as a weapon, and each character had their own second transformation, and it was very wacky. It was off the wall. I really enjoyed it. I would love to see an HD remaster of Power Stone, maybe with some online play. I would love to see a Power Stone 3, and maybe if they made a Power Stone collection, like with 1 and 2 as an HD remake, and see that maybe Sega would see that we really want this game, maybe they would make Power Stone 3. I mean, one can only dream, because that would be, I would love to see a Power Stone 3, or bring back Power Stone for, tournaments like EVO or something. Oh man, that would just be so freaking awesome. And the next game I wanted to talk about is a little underrated RPG for the PlayStation, and we all know the PlayStation 1 has some incredible Japanese RPGs, and this one right here, I don't hear enough people talk about it, and that is Legend of LEGAIA. Now, Legend of LEGAIA, the story is kind of, it's nothing to write home about. It's the broad sense of it was, you control 3 characters who are saving the world from these creatures that used to be in harmony with humans, these mythical objects, and a mysterious mist goes through the world and turns all these objects into demonic monsters, and it's your job to, you know, restore balance and bring the world back. But what made Legend of LEGAIA so interesting was actually the fighting system. It was turn-based, but it had a little twist to it. It almost had like a fighting game combo-esque style to it, and that's what I really loved about it. I felt like I was playing a turn-based RPG, but I was putting in combo inputs that you would see like in something like Street Fighter. It was really something special, and I know they made a sequel on PS2. I had never played it. That's one I haven't really seen out in the wild. I still see Legend of LEGAIA every once in a while, and if you guys by any chance have a chance to pick it up, definitely check it out. And next up, oh my gosh, this is probably my favorite GameCube game, and that is Eternal Darkness. Silicon Knights knew what they were doing with this. This is one of the very few immature rated games on Nintendo, published by Nintendo, and man, they were not kidding around. Whenever someone says that Nintendo makes nothing but kiddie games, give them Eternal Darkness. It might give them nightmares, because the thing is like when Eternal Darkness came out, the survival horror genre was at its peak. I mean, this was before Resident Evil 4, and people were getting kind of tired of survival horror. I mean, they were still popular, but people were getting kind of stale with it, and Eternal Darkness took that horror aspect and gave it a whole new twist, gave it more of an HP Lovecraft kind of feel to it, which I'm a huge Lovecraft fan, so I was really happy about it. But you're following a character who, you know, her grandfather dies. She's going to make an arrangements at his mansion. She finds a hidden book, and each chapter in the book is a character that you play as in the game, and you unfold the twisted history of the Book of Ohms, and it was so freaking awesome. And what makes this game very unique is the insanity meter. You know, when you're playing this game, your sanity starts to go down, and it very often breaks the fourth wall. You'll think that there's a bug on your TV, maybe your TV's messed up. I remember one time it made me think that my memory card was corrupted. It really freaked me out with that, and I mean, there was times that you'd be running down and your head would just fall off. It's a really interesting game, and I could see it totally getting a HD remaster one day, and they've talked about a sequel numerous times, even, you know, reopened up the trademark a couple times, and I would love to see a new Eternal Darkness. I would love to see an HD remaster of Eternal Darkness, and hell, now that, you know, Oculus Rift and, you know, the PS Morpheus, we're starting to get into virtual reality, let's add some of that virtual reality to Eternal Darkness. And the last game I wanted to talk about is for the PS2, and that is Shinobi. Now, I am a huge Shinobi fan from the days at arcade to the Sega Genesis. I love this game so much. I love this like ninja series, and the PS2 version really had something unique for it. It didn't play exactly like the old Shinobis. It was still had that arcadey feel to it, but it was more of a general hack and slash boss rush mode. It felt kind of like, because you were like defeating certain monsters and certain enemies to open up the next portal. That's what you had to do in every single stage, and it had a little bit of puzzle to it, but it was very different compared to like Revenge of Shinobi, but it still kept that Shinobi magic. It was still hard as hell, and personally, not to sound weird, but I would love to see that red scarf in HD remasterness and see it in 60 frames, and man, that would be kind of cool. And I love the fact that when you killed enemies, it would have like this like static freeze frame shot, and the enemies would slowly like go sideways and blood would just go everywhere. It was such a fantastic game, and it's still very affordable, but I would love to see an HD remake. I would love to see Sega take some of these old IPs, and not just the Genesis IPs, but IPs from, you know, the Xbox and the PlayStation, you know, the 6th and 7th generation, and make them better. Man, that would be so freaking awesome. And who knows, if they were to make an HD remaster of the PS2 Shinobi game, maybe that would open the doorway for another Shinobi. Possibilities are endless. So anyway, guys, those are some games I would love to see as an HD remaster. And what are some HD remasters you would like to see in the future? And the possibilities are endless. And, you know, honestly, I have to thank the members at the XSGaming Podcast group page, because I made a post, I did a poll on future content, and this won by a landslide. Everyone wanted to see, you know, what I wanted to see as an HD remake. And for everyone else that voted on the other subjects, don't worry, because there's a big possibility that's going to be feature content as well. And if you guys aren't a part of the XSGaming Podcast group page, be sure to click on that link below the description to join us on Facebook. If you have a YouTube channel or podcast you'd like to share, feel free. It's more of a community. It's not, you know, all about XSGaming Podcast. It's all about us growing and having a common interest of love of video games, anime, comics, just all sorts of crazy stuff. So be sure to check it out. As always, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and as always, happy gaming.
Can't get enough of XSGaming Podcast? Be sure to check out our audio podcast on podomag.com. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes. And if you have a YouTube channel or podcast you'd like to share, be sure to check us out on Facebook on our group page and join the community. As always, guys, thank you so much for all the support, and happy gaming.